Priyam Krishnam Dvaipayanam Bande Krishnam Bande Prithasutam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanu Ramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Today I am going to read a paper published in International Journal of Advanced Multidisciplinary Research and Studies. The title of the paper is Essence of the Bhagavata Purana, and written by Mukta Satisha, Mukta School of Life Sciences, Division of Languages, JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysuru, Karnataka, India. Corresponding author Mukta Satisha. Abstract. Bhagavata is best described in its one words, rasa, which means nectar. The nectar in the Hindu philosophical context denotes the joy that one derives on listening to God's several leelas or divine sports. Though several incarnations of Lord Vishnu have been described in the Vishnu Purana, Lord Krishna occupies the place of prime importance in Srimad Bhagavata. Bhagavata Purana is one of the greatest of the Puranas since it deals with bhakti. Man feels lonely because it is not possible to get a human companion fully to his liking. Human beings pass their time in fun and frolic when they are young and the body is strong and active. Owing to aging, when the body becomes inactive and man is no longer able to remain joyful and energetic all the time, he longs for someone who is completely one's one. In the Bhagavata, which is considered as the essence of Indian spiritual lore, it is stated that the thought of God removes the sorrows and sufferings of man and makes him feel good. The paper attempts to elucidate the essence of the Bhagavata Purana, which carries a hopeful message that reading it would not only help mankind remove his sense of loneliness, but also serves as a step-by-step guide in attaining nirvana or liberation from the eternal cycle of birth and death. You are welcome. And keywords: Puranas, Bhagavata Samhita, Maya, Kali Yuga. These four are the keywords of the paper. Now let me read this paper. You are all welcome. Introduction. The Padma Purana says that towards the end of the Dwapara Yuga, when the meaning of the Vedas became almost hidden in the darkness, gods resorted to Narayana. Narayana, or Lord Vishnu, who is indeed the embodiment of the Vedas, then came to the earth as Vyasa and classified the Vedas into four parts. He classified the Vedas into four parts, that is, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. The Puranas are religious scriptures. Through various stories and illustrations, they teach us about the message of the Vedas in a simple manner. Agrawal, 2022. Having classified the Vedas, Vyasa thought that by following Vedic injunctions, those beings alone will get liberation who remain engaged in sacrifices, who remain engaged in the study of scriptures, and who are brilliant and sincere. He was worried about the women, the outcasts, and the fallen who are of little intellect, who do not have the time or the interest to remain immersed in studies or sacrifices, and who are not yet ripe to understand the Vedas. Therefore, he decided to compile the Bhagavata to express the truths of the Vedas in the form of anecdotes, moral stories, and life stories in the Mahabharata and the Puranas. He did this so that even ordinary people might cross over the delusion of Maya by realizing the truth stated in the Puranas. Gitananda and Vyasa 2004. 14. Now, factors which motivated Vyasa to compose the Bhagavata. That means that how was Vyasa motivated to compose the Bhagavatam? Because after composing Bhagavatam, he composed nothing, he was fully satisfied. As instructed by Devarshi Narada, his teacher, revered teacher, he composed Srimad Bhagavatam, which is in highly developed Sanskrit language, and that is Sanskrit language is known as Jnawali also. He was fully satisfied. Now let me read the second this component of the paper. Factors which motivated Vyasa to compose the Bhagavata. Under this title, I am going to present facts. Though Vyasa had classified the Vedas, composed the Puranas, the Brahma Sutras, and Mahabharata, he had been unsuccessful in turning the minds of human towards renunciation and emancipation. As he sat contemplating on the banks of the river Saraswati, says Narada decided to give Vyasa a visit. Says Narada was a great devotee while Vyasa was a man of great knowledge. On inquiry, Vyasa replied that even though Vyasa and understood the true nature of Brahman and experienced it, he did not have any peace. To this, Narada replied that in none of his scriptures had Vyasa praised the sacred glory of the divine. By mere dry knowledge, which is devoid of the singing of the glories of Lord Vishnu, Vyasa had missed out glorifying the divine sports of God. He had failed to present the divine sport of Lord Vishnu as the chief idea in all of his texts. He had not discussed in a way that makes it clear that singing the glories of the Lord alone should be the supreme end of human life. Sage Narada explained that from time immemorial, the individual soul has forgotten God and being in the clutches of Maya, keeps transmigrating in different bodies in this world. God is pleased if the soul frees itself from the clutches of Maya and attains bliss. But one cannot attain this bliss through dry knowledge without any devotion or through ordinary works. Sage Narada further pointed out Sage Narada further pointed that none of Vyasa's works deals with the glories of God's divine sport. But if a devotee joyfully listens and sings the narration of the God's divine sport, even if the sentences are not grammatically correct or poetically perfect, the very act of listening and singing the Lord's praises itself removes all their sins. Narada advised Vyasa that the only way to attain peace for him was to compose a text which described the divine sports of the Lord. One who reads this text would be supremely blissful till the end of his days. Vyasa then composed the Bhagavata, which is also known as The Sattvata Samhita, scripture of devotion for the benefit of man groveling in the ignorance of his spiritual nature, to teach him that bhakti is the one means by which the darkness of ignorance can be dispelled and the spiritual glory of mankind can be restored. Thus, for the good of human beings who are blinded by the enjoyment of the objects of the world, he composed Satvata Samhita, that is the Srimad Bhagavad Samhita, as quoted by Gita Nanda and Vyasa, 2014. Now, essence of the Bhagavad Samhita. The true nature of the Bhagavad Samhita is expressed in the following verses. Yasambai Sriyamanayam Krishne Parama Purushe Bhakti Rutpadyate Bhakti Rutpadyate Pumsa Shoka Moha Bhayapaha 177, Gitananda and Vyasa, 2014. The meaning of the above verse is that merely by starting its study or listening to it, the mind of the reader or the listener develops bhakti or devotion to the Supreme Lord, which destroys all his sorrow and fear. If one somehow listens to the Bhagavata even a little, one attains devotion for the Supreme Being, Sri Krishna, and the individual will be released from the bondage of worldliness, delusion, misery, and fear. Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapaha, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. 1 to 29, Gita and Vyasa, 2014. Vasudeva is the one being to whom all disciplines and doctrines are ultimately directed. The Vedas have him as their goal. Sacrifices, yoga, the yogic practices, learning, tapas, dharma, all have him as their aim. In him is the end and density of man. Vasudeva is the giver of liberation. Therefore, it is advisable that one renounces everything and worships him alone. The end and aim of all actions is the adoration of Vasudeva. Through his spiritual practices, the yogi attains Vasudeva as the Supreme Soul. When the person striving on the path of knowledge succeeds in reaching the goal, he too attains Vasudeva as the Supreme Brahma. Those following the path of ritualistic action, they too, as the result of their actions, attain heaven, which again is nothing but Lord Krishna's manifestation. According to Ludo Rocher, Ludo, Ludo, Rochr, Rocher, the most important texts are Bhagavata Purana, Vishnu Purana, Naradiya Purana, Garuda Purana, and Vayu Purana. These Puranas have several encyclopedic entries about various aspects of life. In one of the Puranas, it is stated that Vishnu's eye is at the southern celestial pole from where he watches the cosmos. In the Vayu Purana, Vishnu is the Hiranyagarbha, or the golden egg from which all masculine and feminine beings were born in this universe. Taptavarti and Shastri, 2019, quoted by them. Thus the end and aim of everything in life should be attaining Lord Krishna's grace. One's austerities, worship, prayer, and everything should be offered to Lord Krishna. The fruits of yoga, meditation, austerity, and everything else should be surrendered to Lord Krishna. He also is to be, He alone is to be known, He alone is to be attained. He is the Supreme Brahma. He is both with qualities and without qualities. If one is devoted to Him, one can also attain the supreme knowledge of Brahma. The third verse, which captures the essence of the Bhagavata, is as follows. Vasudeve Bhagavata Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatya Subhairagyam Jnanam Yadahaitukam Jnanam Jayadahaitukam. Gitananda and Vyasa 2014. Devotion to Lord Krishna. This is the verse 1 to 7. Devotion to Lord Krishna quickly generates adherence for sensual life and bestows the transcendental knowledge which is beyond the grasp of logical controversies. Through the medium of this sloka, Lord Krishna says that if one adores the Supreme Being, Vasudeva, with one-pointed devotion, he or she will quickly attain dispassion for worldly life and attain supreme knowledge. Next component, incidents leading to Sukadeva narrating the Bhagavata. After having composed the Bhagavata, Vyasa thought that this sacred text, which gives instant devotion and liberation, should be spread far and wide in the world, and the only worthy instrument to accomplish this was his son, Sukadeva. Vyasa realized that with the passing of time, the lifespan and strength of human beings would be reduced. It would then be extremely difficult for them to practice meditation on the formless Brahma, which is without attributes. Unfortunately, Sukadeva would be immersed in samadhi somewhere in the dense forest or a mountain cave, and it would be very difficult to find him. To bring Sukadeva out of his samadhi, Vyasa went to the forest, met some woodcutters, taught them a verse from the Bhagavata extolling the childhood beauty of Sri Krishna, and requested them to rode about in the forest singing the verse. This verse was Baraha Piram Natavarabapuhu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibhradavasa Kanaka Kapisham Pajayantim Chamalam Randran Bedo Radhara Sudhaya Purayan Gopa Brindair Brindaranyam Swapadaramanam Pravishada Gita Kirti. That was the verse of the 21st chapter of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, which is narrated in Mandakranta meter. Okay, Mandakranta meter, a chanda in Sanskrit. No sooner did this charming song fall on the ears of Sukadeva than slowly he got up from samadhi. Sukadeva got up from samadhi and asked them who had taught them the song, and said that he wanted to meet the person who had composed the song. The woodcutters then took him to Vyasa. Okay, there is some, the story is differently narrated in Kalyan Patrika, which is published by Gita Press, Gorakhpur, India. It has been stated that by listening to this sloka, Baraha Pidam Natavarabapu, as stated by the author, Sukadeva got up from his samadhi, but he did not make any response. He again continued samadhi. So The disciples of the Vedavyasa immediately went to Gurudeva Vyasa and narrated the story. Then Vyasa thought, since Sukadeva is free from worldly materials, he is in he has concentration on the samadhi. So he did not like to come back to, and then let us find out another samhita that may influence him, and by its effect he may come to study Bhagavatam. He thought that way and selected a verse that is related with the killing of Putana. That is the original verse is as Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigham sayapayayada pesadvi levhe gatim dhatruchitam tatonyam kamba dayalum saranam brajema kamba dayalum saranam brajema. That was the sloka. Okay. The woodcutters then took him to Vyasa. I am going to read the original version of this article written by the author. Sukadeva was overjoyed to meet his father and asked him about was the main theme of the song. To that, Vyasa replied that song extolled the virtues of the sweet embodiment of Brahma, the sportive Brahma called Vasudeva. He is the Paramatma of the yogis and the Bhagavan for the devotees. Dealing with this supreme God, he has composed a Purana which compares with the Vedas, which may be compared with the Vedas. It called the Bhagavatam. Vyasa said that he wished Sukadeva to learn it from him and preach it to the world for the good of mankind. This way. Okay? Very nice. After studying the Bhagavata, Sukadeva became attracted to the glories of Krishna and taught it to his excellent devotee Parikshit, the king of Hastinapur, the son of Abhimanyu and the grandson of Arjuna. From them on, Bhagavata came to be known as the scripture of the Paramahamsa Samhita. It is known as Paramahamsa Samhita. It has a unique place among the Puranas. And this is also quoted by Gitarandana Vyasa 2014. Bhagavata as a means to salvation in the Kali Yuga. According to John Bentley, Bentley, historian of Indian astronomy, whose findings, which was published in the year 1823, states that the division of time into yugas and kalpas are astronomically and not historically interpolated. For the purpose of chronology, Hindu history was divided into 4 periods. The creation began with Krita Yuga, also called Satya Yuga, or the conjunction. This was the radical point from which calculation began. The second Yuga was called the Treta Yuga, the third was called the Dwapara Yuga, and the fourth was the Kali Yuga, which is present Yuga. Bentley placed the beginning of Kali Yuga as 204 BC. It was during the Kali Yuga that accurate calculations were made on the planetary positions and equations were introduced to make these calculations. Sharma, 1987, quoted by this author. By the time Sukadeva narrated the Bhagavata to Parikshit, the Kali Yuga had already begun. In the Kali Yuga, human beings naturally forget God and become immersed in worldliness. Sages like Saunaka wondered what the way would be out for those who sincerely wish to think about God but cannot do so because the influence of the Kali Yuga. Where would they go free themselves from the influence of Kali? Brahma then advised them to perform sacrifices for Lord Brahma then advised them to perform sacrifices for Lord Vishnu in the Naimisa forest, which was always protected by God from the influence of Kali Yuga. When Saunaka and his companions were performing the sacrifice, they saw a Sutta, Sutta 2022, called Ugrasrava, who was passing by the forest singing the glories of Lord Krishna. Ugrasrava had heard the story of the Bhagavad from Sukadeva and had become intoxicated with the thought of Lord Krishna. He was forever in ecstasy singing his glories. Ecstacy. It was in that state that sage Saunaka and others saw him, brought him to their dwelling place with great respect, and humbly asked him to impart the vast knowledge that is essential for man to attain salvation. They requested Ugrasrava to tell them the essence of all that he had understood from the scriptures. In various scriptures, different paths were shown, the practice of which takes a lot of time, and one might unknowingly commit a lot of mistakes while practicing them. Moreover, in Kali Yuga, lifespan of human beings is very short. Saunaka appealed to him to tell them about that spiritual practicing which humans can attain the highest within a short time and without difficulty. In reply, Ugrasrava began to describe Krishna's divine sports. He said that when the brilliant Sukadeva was narrating the Bhagavata on the banks of the river Ganga, he sat in a corner and by the Lord's grace heard everything. He said that he would narrate it to Saunaka and his companions to the best of his ability and remove their doubts. In this way, the story of Srimad Bhagavata was narrated by Sukadeva and retold by Ugrasrava before Saunaka and other sages. He said that listening to the Bhagavata was the shortest way to salvation for a human being in the Kali Yuga. Very nice, beautiful, very nice, very nice, attractive. Attractive, listen to me. Now, next component of the paper, benefits of listening to the Bhagavatam. What are the benefits? In the words of Narada, extroverts may say 100 things and do several things, but in no way can they bring their mind under control. If one wishes to control the mind and cross over the ocean of worldliness, there is no other way than resorting to the glories of Sri Krishna. As long as there are desires for objects of enjoyment, the mind does not turn towards the God. Man chanchal, man eva manusyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. It has been stated in Manusmriti. According to many philosophers, the concept of Maya is very complicated. It is an important pillar of Hindu philosophy discussed in the Advaita Vedanta. Adi Shankaracharya has written several treatises on the concept of Maya. The concept of Maya appears in all the religious traditions of India, including Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. It has been quoted by VIRK work 2020. The panacea for the sufferings caused by avidya, that means ignorance generating aspect of Maya, is devotion to the Lord. According to Hindu philosophy, Maya is the illusion of that which is not there. It is the deluding power which deludes humans to worldly life. This power of Maya is greater in the Kali Yuga. It vanishes only when we surrender to God. Maya is the inscrutable power of Ishvara. Swami Vivekananda conquered Maya through sadhana and grew to such huge dimensions that Maya could not catch him. Another devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, Durga Charan Naga, reduced himself to such small dimensions through sadhana and devotion that Maya could not catch him. His ego was reduced to zero. Through either of the ways, the sadhaka should overgrow the influence of equipment, that is body, mind and intellect. Quoted by Gupta 2012. According to the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna written by Mahendranath Gupta, Satya, Sattva, Rajasa, Rajasa and Tamasa are the three qualities of Maya. These are also known as Guna, Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, Tamo Guna. The attachment to Sattva quality binds the seeker of truth through knowledge about the matter. Material knowledge is nothing more than ignorance about the supreme reality for a spiritual seeker. Through devotion, spiritual study, meditation, and other spiritual activities, the seeker can overcome the materialistic influence of sattva to attain liberation. The second quality of Maya, Rajasa, binds the seeker through worldly activities like attachment to matter and takes the seeker away from divinity. The third quality of Maya, Tamasa, keeps the seeker in ignorance about the divinity itself. All these qualities are rubbers, daku, within the seeker that loot the seeker of his divinity, which is the real intrinsic nature of every living being. Quoted by Gupta 2012. It is possible to absolute and conquer. It is possible to subdue, S-U-B-D-U-E. It is possible to subdue and conquer Maya by listening to the divine sports of the Lord. To listen to God's divine sports as described in the Bhagavatam is so delightful that it fills the heart with bliss. It lets the listener experience the world and liberation simultaneously. It results in renunciation in and through the actions apparently oriented towards the world. The moment the soul resorts to the glories of God's divine sports, it will be freed from worldly passions, and the desire to worship and serve God will be born. A person who longs to derive happiness from listening to something will derive true joy if he is made to listen to the glories of the divine. In that way, he can destroy his bad karmas from his previous lives, conquer Maya, speed up his spiritual progress, attain peace and prosperity, and lead a joyful life. Radhe Shyam. Now, conclusion. Okay, conclusion. Don't worry. This paper describes the essence of the Bhagavata. Bhagavata as a means to salvation in the Kali Yuga, the benefit of listening to the Bhagavata, the essential characteristics of Maya, how listening to or reciting verses from the Bhagavata releases one from Maya's entanglement, and the material, personal, professional, and spiritual benefits that one can derive by reading verses from the Bhagavata on a daily basis. Resorting to Lord Krishna's name, whether in a mood of distress or helplessness, one entangled in the cycle of births and deaths would be released at once, for even the god of death is afraid of him. Due to the results of actions performed in many lives, the individual keeps transmigrating in this world, but the glory of God's name is such that if a person utters his name, even in a state of helplessness, he will get immediate salvation. Hearing the name of Lord Krishna, all run away in fear, like enemies taking to heels, hearing the lions roar. This is the greatness of Bhagavad Purana. Okay, I presented the paper as it was written by the author Mukta Satisha, Essence of the Bhagavad Purana, the title of the author, and this the journal of the title of the journal is International Journal of Advanced Multidisciplinary Research and Studies, and it was published in 2023, recently, 2023, now 2025 is running. Okay, let me add some more points to this presentation. This is the presentation of the researcher. This is not my original. So far as my experience with the Bhagavatam is concerned, I would like to present some facts on it. Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata Mahapurana begins or starts with the second sutra of Vedanta Darshanam. The first sutra of Vedanta Darshanam is also known as Brahma Sutra. The first sutra is known as Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That means that now the thinking, the discussion about Brahma starts. What is the nature of Brahma? There may be many debate, many jigyasa, many questions, queries. Who is Brahma? What is the nature of Brahma? Is Brahma Nirguna Nirakar, or is Brahma Saguna Sakar? Different types of queries may be raised, issues may be raised. And this was the first sutra of Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Darshanam that starts to have a query on the nature of Brahma. And the second sutra tries to answer the question, this question of first sutra. That means that it is stated as Janmandisya Yataha. Janmandisya Yataha. That means by which this world is created, and all the living beings of this world are created. First the world is created, earth is created, and then there is creation of living beings, many living beings, and the supreme living being, human being, which is very talent wise, Chetana, the highest level of Chetana, consciousness. Okay, then he composed, he created. Then creation and protection. Those who are created, they must be protected. We are taking care of our children, small kids. We have to take care of our senior citizens, and we have to take care of ourselves. We have to earn, and we have to take care of others in our family. That way, that's protection. Protection is the job of Vishnu. Protection is the work of Vishnu. Vishnu protects, takes care of. Brahma creates, and then Shiva, Rudra, destroys. Thus, there are three types of activities: creation, protection or preservation, or caring, and dissolution or destruction. Who edits, who performs these three types of major activities is Brahma. That Brahma may be Nirvana Nirakar or Sagun Sakar. For example, Rama and Krishna, they incarnated as Sagun Sakar in the form of human beings. They incarnated. But Advaita Vedanta says Ishvara is Nirguna Nirakar. Okay. Nirguna Nirakar is also correct. Sagun Sakar is also correct. Those. So it's very difficult to understand. This who creates, who performs these types of activities is Brahma. This way, with the second sutra of Vedanta Darshanam, the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana starts. And the Mahatmyam of the Bhagavad Purana is contributed by Padma Purana, 6 chapters of Mahatmya, which explains the importance of Bhagavatam. Mahatmya tells the importance of the work, the Grantha, Purana. Okay, then 6 chapters contains 6 chapter Mahatmya is contributed by Padma Purana. In terms of size, Padma Purana is the second largest, which comprises of 55,000 of slokas or samhitas. And Skanda Purana is the largest one, biggest one. It comprises 81,000, 81,000. How big size? And Padma Purana, 55,000 slokas, verses. You can understand verses. There are 18 Puranas altogether, 18 Puranas. They are categorized into 3 groups: Sattvika, Rajasa, Tamasa. 6 in Sattvika, 6 in Rajasa, 6 in Tamasa Purana. And this Bhagavata Mahapurana is categorized as Sattvika Purana. And this Bhagavata Purana stands at the top of all the Puranas. So it has a greater significance. It comprises altogether 18,000 verses. It has 12 cantos, which are known as in Sanskrit Skanda. Yes, K-A-N-D-S-A-S, Skandas. That's part is known as Skanda. and 335 chapters altogether. If we include the chapters of Mahatmya, 6 chapters of Mahatmya from Padma Purana, and 4 chapters of Mahatmya from Skanda Purana, 6 and 4, 10, and there is a Mahatmya Sar, abstract of Mahatmya, summary of Mahatmya, in 31 slokas. That is also like the size of this Mahatmya Sar is like that of a chapter. If we can, it can work as a chapter volume in terms of volume. So this is the Bhagavatam. This is the size of the Bhagavatam. Again, let me explain once more. 12 cantos, 335 chapters, 18,000 slokas. This is the Bhagavata Mahapurana. This is Sattvika Purana. This is the Purana by composing which Vedavyasa was fully satisfied. He did not compose any other works later on. She was satisfied by composing this Purana. So it has a marvelous, it has a great importance, greater significance. This is also known as Purana Chudamani. Now let me tell you the structure of the Purana. That is, I have already told you that there are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 slokas. This is the nature of Bhagavatam. But in 12 cantos, in which canto how many chapters? That way I will tell you. First canto contains 19 chapters. It has the story of Mahabharatam at the very beginning, Bhishma Stuti, Kunti Stuti, and King Parikshit and Kali Yuga. Then at the end of this canto, King Parikshit was cursed by a sage, and he was about to die, to pass away within 7 days. Actually, we die, we have to pass away within 7 days. There are no 8 days in a week, 7 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, only 7 days. Any year or any month you may pass away. You will pass away within 7 days. In Sunday, on Sunday, or on Saturday, or on Friday. But within a week. So this way. And then Parikshit was cursed by a sage, and so he starts samadhi, meditation at the bank of Ganga. In the meantime, Sukadev Swami comes there, arrives there, and he recites the whole Srimad Bhagavatam composed by Vedavyasa for the salvation, for the moksha of Parikshita. That way. And since then, the tradition of chanting Srimad Bhagavatam and telling its stories started on this earth, Martyaloka. Okay? Martyaloka. No, this is the Bhagavatam. And first canto, 19 chapters, second canto, 10 chapters, third canto, 33 chapters, fourth canto, 31 chapters, fifth canto, 26 chapters, sixth canto, 19 chapters, seventh canto, 15 chapters, eighth canto, 24 chapters, ninth canto, 24 chapters, 10th canto, very large, very big. All the pastimes of Lord Krishna are fabricated in this canto. There are 90 chapters very big in size, and it has been divided into two parts, Purvarda and Uttararda. In Purvarda, there are 49 chapters, and in Uttararda there are 41 chapters. And 11th canto has 31 chapters, and 12th canto, or the last one, has 13 chapters. Altogether 335 chapters, 18,000 slokas or samhitas. This is the structure of the Bhagavad Purana. In the Bhagavad Purana, there are beautiful songs, Gita, which are known as Gitam, beautiful songs. Basically, there are so many songs, but 5 are major. 5 are major songs. They are known as Venu Gitam, Gopi Gitam, Yugala Gitam, Brahmara Gitam, and Mahishi Gitam. All these 5 Gitams, 5 Gita are in the 10th canto. And Gopi Gitam is the best chapter. Barhapidam Natavarabapuho is the best sloka, as stated by the scholars, great scholars, Vaishnava scholars. And Vedastuti, that means 87th chapters of the 10th canto, is the best stuti. That way, these are the qualities of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, we'll stop right now, stop for today. Next time, we will discuss, or we will recite or discuss about Bhagavata Mahapuranam. Thank you very much. Early in the morning, I would like to extend my greetings to you, and I acknowledge my heartfelt thanks to the author whose article I presented here, and I greet you all, the observers here, great scholars who are supporting me in my presentation. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarapapa Pranasanam Pranamo Dukha Samanastam Namami Harim Param Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam Hara 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 Mahadev.